Hi guys, welcome back to Cooking with Politics. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. Today we're dishing out buffalo chicken bites, and the hot topic of today is how a city council works. So I'm going to get that confused later in the episode, but there's a difference between city council and town council. I have a very special guest coming on the show today to talk about her personal experience as a town councilwoman. So guys, without further ado, I'm Adriana Murphy, your All-American Girl, and today we're cooking with politics. All right, guys, welcome back. So today, like I said, we have a special guest joining us on Cooking with Politics. This is Hannah Toth. Everyone say hi. So she is the town council woman who is coming on our show today to talk about city council and how that works. However, like I said in the beginning, it's city and town. So Hannah, please introduce yourself and then go into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So hi again, I'm Hannah. I'm on the Fountain Hills Town Council. The difference between a town and a city council is just whether you live in a city or a town. Some municipalities will do something where your city councilman is hooked to a region. So that's usually in larger cities where it's like, oh, the northwest portion of the city, this is the northwest portion's council member. In the cases of smaller cities, or in my case, my town, we just have town-wide elections. So there's 6 council members, and then our tiebreaker vote is the mayor. And that's how it works in local government.
Awesome. So she knows her stuff. So guys, I thought it would be awesome to bring Hannah on the show because like many others in our country, I don't know how certain things work. And I do believe in local involvement and that you need to get involved at the local level. So to know that, you need to know how your city/town works. So Hannah is actually one of the youngest females to be town councilwoman, right? In her town in Fountain Hills.
Yes.
And that is quite a title. I mean, that is amazing, and everything she stands for young women. And I mean, she's a leader in the community.
Thank you.
So Hannah, let's get into this. We are making buffalo chicken bites.
We sure are.
Hannah knows the recipe.
Yes, I do.
So we're going to let her take control over this one. How do we start?
So the first thing you're going to do, and I did the messy part before we were on camera, is you're going to take a rotisserie chicken and you're going to get all the chicken out of it. And then you're going to use these forks. It's like the opposite of tossing a salad. And you're just going to pull the chicken apart. It's not supposed to be pretty. It's going to be the filling of our bites. So don't worry about how the shredded chicken looks. When you are making the sauce, you're going to see how it becomes really beautiful. Mm-hmm. But what we're going to do first is we're going to take this cheddar that we have chopped up. You can also use like shredded cheddar. And all of it goes in the bowl. The more cheese, the better. That's what makes this so yummy.
Okay. All right. And then we're mixing this?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. I'm going to mix this. Hannah, tell me how a city council works. Tell me about the benefits, the pros, the cons, what is it supposed to do, and how do you work with that?
Yeah.
What do you actually do?
Right, of course. So now I don't blame people when they don't really know what goes on in the city or the town council level. Most people don't. I worked in politics for a year before I fully understood local politics. And that's part of the reason that I'm wearing my Fill Every Precinct t-shirt here, because what this all started as is I was a precinct committeeman, and that's what helped me learn about what was going on in my community.
And we've talked about becoming a PC on this show.
We have. Well, I wasn't there, but she did. And, so all of this journey of becoming Arizona's youngest elected Republican, it started from me being a precinct committee woman and understanding how the city council works. And the thing with city and town council is it's probably the office that you know very little about, and yet it's going to be the one that affects your daily life. In Fountain Hills' case, we do not have a property tax that goes to the town. It's just the regular state property tax, but we are running off of sales tax. So in Fountain Hills, when you buy your groceries, it might be 30 cents more than it was in Scottsdale, and that's because instead of charging you for the property that you live on, we have a slightly higher sales tax.
Okay.
That is one of the things that you run across every day. But on top of that, we handle the zoning. So when it comes to a town, You need to have your regions planned, where your businesses are, where your homes are. All of that doesn't come by accident. That comes from your town council. And what's important about being a young person elected to office is that my community, which is median age of 59, so we have an older community in Fountain Hills, and I'm honored that they trusted me with not only 42 million taxpayer dollars, but also with the future of their community, because twice a month I am making decisions that probably have 30-year impacts on the town.
And I think that's wonderful. I really want to applaud all the individuals that have supported Hannah in her campaign, supported her in her role, and have took it upon themselves to shine light of their wisdom and their age on Hannah. More people from different generations who are not Gen Z, who are not millennial, who are not, some are half Gen X, are a little afraid to talk to us, are a little afraid about how modern we are, how liberal we are, if we're too conservative now, what are we as conservatives? I do appreciate the ones who come from, they do know more than us, they do have more wisdom in how our country runs and how our cities run, and you guys take the time to talk to us and teach us. And that's wonderful, and that's what you guys have done with wonderful Hannah. So please do that more with more of us. We would really love that. Okay, so we've talked about taxes and zoning and what you oversee. Mm-hmm. What is your official title, though?
My title is council member.
Oh, council member.
So
okay.
With a town council, we're also overseeing they're called commissions. So they're basically committees of volunteers that will find, in planning and zoning's case, they'll look at a development, they'll see if it follows the plan that's passed by the council. In public art, which is kind of the fun one, they get to decide the public art. That's part of our town. The committee names are very self-explanatory, but all these committees, they are following the policies that are set by the council. So you can think of the council as kind of like the board of directors of a company, but instead of a company, it's a town.
Okay, and we're going to get right back into that, but let's get back to our dish. So we have shredded the chicken. We do not have a cheese grater. If someone wants to donate a cheese grater, that would be great. Cut this up. And now that's all mixed in. So what's the next part to our dish?
The next is the sauce. So what I've got here is cream cheese.
Cream cheese.
And then it wouldn't be buffalo without Frank's Red.
Frank's Red.
So you pour the entire bottle in.
The entire bottle in. Oh my goodness.
It
caliente.
I will say it very much depends on your personal taste.
Okay.
I am a big believer in measuring with the heart. So I am someone who is like a hardcore Republican, but I have a very libertarian attitude when it comes to measurements in cooking.
Okay.
You use as much butter, as much cheese. You use as much butter, as much cheese, and as much Frank's Red hot sauce as
you can.
You desire.
We're taking our cream cheese and our Frank's hot sauce and we're mixing it. So Hannah, tell me about some of the committees you guys oversee. I know you talked about the arts committee. It's a fun one. What are the committees that you're on? Can you tell us what committees you're on?
As a council member, I'm not actually on any of the commissions. I oversee them. So I could be, that's where some people start. So we actually have a council member that started on the strategic planning committee. That means that's an every 10 years update to our 10-year plan.
Okay.
And then once we've updated the plan, then their job is implementation. And the town's done these projects and this fits the strategic plan in this way. This was a goal that we had, such as, it could be something as simple as wanting more trees, or something huge like we want a new park, we want more baseball fields, those kind of more expensive projects. It could also be in there.
Let's get back into your backstory. I want to hear how Miss Hannah got into her council position. What encouraged her, what pushed her, what in God's plan made her want to get involved at that level. And not to mention, Hannah has faced a lot of critique from the community because she is young. And that's why I go back and I encourage and implore older generations to come talk to us and to lead us with your wisdom. So I want to hear how you got to that point.
Yeah, thank you. So like I kind of mentioned, it started as when I became a precinct committeeman. It was actually my very first meeting with my precinct captain, where she had said that we didn't have enough Republicans running for town council. This was right around when our town was lifting the mask mandate, which wasn't until January 1st, 2022 in a very Republican area. And that was something that was really surprising to me. So I became kind of originally accidentally passionate about this, where I said, hey, wait a minute, why is everyone else not having to wear masks and we are still expected to do it in our library? And I found out it was because we've had a Democrat majority on that council for some time now. These are nonpartisan elections.
Okay.
But everything's partisan nowadays, so that obviously isn't actually what ends up happening. So when she had mentioned we didn't have enough people running, I was just all in. I'm a person of action. And so I said, okay, is there an age limit? And she said no. And I said, then I guess I'm running for council. And the next day I turned in the paperwork. And when I said that, I realized very quickly that there was a lot to learn. I started memorizing our strategic plan, which is a very large binder, probably the same for most municipalities. I had a congressman tell me if I don't memorize the budget, I should drop out. So I went and memorized the budget. And the other side of it, which you kind of mentioned, is that, like I said before, Fountain Hills is an older community. It's people who are 59 or above for the most part. And because of that, I really had to prove myself. There was a lot of homework that needed to be done on past issues in history that I might have been a kid or not even alive yet for. And being able to listen to people that are older and wiser and have that experience is a really important skill in whatever you go into, but especially when you're asking people to trust you with a really important position. On top of that, you do get some of the naysayers that might say, oh, well, you're too young, I don't want to hear it. And you have to stand there and prove them wrong. That's just the only way to win the election. And if you're serious about it, then you'll find a way.
Thank you for sharing that. That is amazing story on how she came into her title. So we've made the sauce.
Yes, we have made the sauce.
I pretty much whipped it, guys. I hope that's okay.
That's perfect.
That's what we wanted.
That is absolutely perfect. So
what is our next step?
You want it to be nice and beautiful. And then this is the messy part where we take the chicken and the cheese and our sauce and we put it in an even bigger bowl. And we'll have our filling for our bites. So the reason that these are buffalo chicken bites is that it is essentially a buffalo chicken dip that we then put into a crescent roll like a cute little dumpling. And these...
So are we mixing?
Yes.
Okay.
We are mixing. There's a lot of mixing in this recipe, but they are super quick and easy, and they're really popular at parties, so I highly recommend this recipe.
I love that. Is there anything that you want to say to anyone who has wanted to be on a city council, but they're like, I don't know how it works. Like, how do I become a city council man or woman?
For sure. As I said before, I started a little backwards. I had announced my race and then I started doing my homework. So I would really highly recommend going to your council meetings as your absolute first step. Know the council members. In our town, we call them the frequent flyers. We love our frequent flyers. The people who regularly come to meetings and speak at them. Get to know the issues in town, what people are passionate about. You'll end up learning real quick when you run, but it's best to go in with that knowledge rather than say something and not realize that there might be some history to that issue. One thing with local politics is it is a lot more personal to people than maybe foreign policy or federal budgets. People get really passionate about their community, as they should. And knowing the ins and outs of what your community is passionate about should be your first step. Your second step is reaching out to your town clerk. Your town clerk is going to be who runs the local elections. Well, not runs them, but runs the administrative part of your elections. And your town clerk will then help you with whatever paperwork you need to fill out. They'll walk you through how financial disclosure statements work and all of those not as fun, but really, really important parts of being a candidate. There's a lot of moving pieces there, and you'll want someone in your corner walking you through that.
All right, sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mixed it.
You did so good. So I also will add that you're more than welcome to add like garlic or salt and pepper or whatever you kind of want in here. I honestly just really like cheesy stuff, so I just do the cheese, the hot sauce, and the chicken and the cream cheese and the butter. Oh, so we have not done the butter yet, so we're gonna go ahead and add that in. We're actually only gonna do like about half of a stick of butter. The filling ends up getting a little too watery and it'll bleed through the crescent roll otherwise.
Okay.
So
We
that's
have our butter.
the easy part. This is just so it's nice and yummy. So anyway, you just mix it in, and what's cool about this recipe too is if you get tired of making the dumplings, there's nothing raw in this. So you could just take some chips and call it a dip, and
Awesome.
it could be done now.
Yeah,
but
it could be.
the bites are more fun. So we're gonna do that.
Okay.
So next we have our dough. They're crescent roll dough like in the cans here. But you're gonna take your dough, and don't worry about using the perfect triangle or if it gets mushy. Honestly, I just take the whole thing, I mush it up, and you're gonna take a little of it here, and you're gonna start massaging it in your hand. You'll flatten it out, and however big or small you want to make these. I mean, I've done where they're teeny tiny and they're just little bites. Then I've also done where they're like nice big dumplings, and just up to you.
Okay. So just take a little piece.
And
Sounds
the thing
fun.
about this is I'm not really an artist. If you're really good at these things, you'll be able to make it like nice and smooth and pretty, but it's just tastes good.
As long as it tastes good, that's all we care about. Then we can also put this on a pan. You guys want to make sure you have a pan with parchment already on it and your oven ready to go. The oven is set for 375, and I think we'll be leaving these in for about 9 to 12 minutes, just depending on how golden you want them to come out. I'm having trouble getting this dough to...
Yeah, you're gonna get some filling on the outside when we're doing the little ones. The key though is that when you do the filling and you get all your corners tucked in, you cook it on this side so that it looks like it's fancier than it was.
Okay, nice tip. Thank you, Hannah.
Yep. Happy to help.
So Hannah, we've talked about what it's like being a city councilwoman. We talked about how you can get involved as one. Let's go back to the meetings that the city council has every month. The importance of that.
We can be doing anything from planning our town budget, which is what we do this time of year. So our meetings in, I'd say February to June, usually have to do with projects that we want to do in the next year and whether or not we need to be asking bond. And luckily we are not doing that this year. We don't like bonds. So that time of year is usually budget based. Ever since June, you'll end up doing the implementation of those plans. So when a community decides that they need a street light, they'll say, okay, we want a street light. Here's our idea for it. It would go here. We think it'll cost about this much. This is what we're budget for. Council says, okay, at that point. And then they say, okay, we have an engineer who's going to design the street light. Can you approve paying him this much? We say, okay. And then they say, well, this is the plan for the street light. Can we now build it? And then you say, okay, again. And so that's usually how the system works in town councils. You'll hear us talking about the same project over and over again, but that's because there needs to be a level of oversight where we've been entrusted with the town's money, taxpayer
constantly
dollars.
talking about it, making sure that you're looking at everything that's going on. Yeah, I agree.
And there's safety aspects. I mean, things as simple as a sidewalk. You need to make sure that wheelchairs can go through it. You need to make sure that it's even so there's no tripping hazard, that it's in an area that dirt isn't going to end up mudsliding into, or that doesn't get flooded. There's a lot of factors to these things that you don't, I mean, truly you don't know all of the factors until you're involved in that process.
Okay, so these meetings are held usually at what time for you guys? Because like you said, a lot of this is like volunteer work on your behalf to the city, correct?
So our commissions are volunteer. I am technically paid on the council. It's $400 a month. And then if you're mayor, you get $600 a month. Now that's different in every municipality. There's some that don't pay at all. There's some that pay more. Just how your city runs that policy.
Awesome. So what would you say is probably the hardest or challenging thing to do as a city council member?
The hardest thing to do is to have to look at a member of your community and tell them that you can't do something that they wanted. When you get someone who's really upset because people are always speeding down their road, you say, okay, like what if we did a speed bump? What if we put a roundabout there? What if there's several different items that you could do as a municipality? And to that person, their street is of course the most important one in town, and it's not a selfish thing or anything like that. It's just that's what they see every day, so they say, hey, this is a huge problem, town has to fix it. Now, we have 400 to 500 streets in town, and if everybody feels as though they need a speed bump, we can't possibly afford that. So you do have to sometimes tell people no, or not right now, or next year. And I'd say that's the hardest part. It's not necessarily when things get political, or you always have that, or you'll have people calling you names, or not listening because you're young, if you're me, and none of that's the hardest part. The hardest part is when it's a genuinely kind person that you have to say, I'm sorry, we can't do that right now.
We can't do that. I can see that. What would be the highlight of being a city council member?
The highlight is watching projects come to fruition. So one really cute one is that our town has a little bit of land that we just haven't really done anything with it yet. It's just this tiny little plot, and our staff wants to make it, they're calling it park. And they've put together this plan to make a nice little grassy area. It's right next to one of our existing parks. And to watch that from beginning to end is so exciting. And once they do break ground on it, you'll get to watch that part get built, and then years from now I'll get to see people enjoy that cute little plot that when I was a little girl was just a little blank spot of dirt, and now it's going to be a park, which is really cool. And it wasn't my idea, I'm not taking credit for it, it's just fun to watch the project.
I love hearing that. I think that is amazing, and serving your community has a lot of benefit. So guys, we are going to take a break right now, and we're going to come back and end our conversation. Plop these in the oven again for 375, 9 to 12 minute, guys. All right, guys, we'll see you right back. All right, guys, so we are back, and we're finishing up with Miss Hannah. Our buffalo chicken bites are out of the oven, and they come out kind of like a bun, almost like a little dumpling. We plated it with some celery sticks. You guys can do whatever you would like with that, and some ranchy ranch. This is great. I want to try this. So this is all Hannah.
Yes. I just want to wrap up by saying, if anyone is interested in running for office, the main piece of advice that I can give you is to learn to listen and learn when to listen. Sometimes you'll have people that are just trying to tear you down and discourage you, and then you have people who are genuinely trying to help. And sometimes their delivery might be a little harsh, but there's some bits of feedback in what people are saying sometimes. And that's what makes you a better candidate. And if you win, when you win, you become a better elected official because you're listening to the people that trusted you to do the job.
Okay, thank you, Hannah, and thank you so much for coming on here and being with me on the show. And guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Cooking with Politics on YouTube and all of our social medias, and give Hannah a follow too on her social media. All right, guys, I'm Adriana Murphy, your All-American Girl, and we'll see you next time on Cooking with Politics.